Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote. This is the weekly show where we introduce you to some of the best creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone who is no stranger to simply taking a look. It's in a book. Please welcome award-winning writer Teri M Brown is in the building. Hello, Teri. How are you today?
Hey, I'm fine, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's great to have you back, Teri. What is this, like your third, fourth time you've been here? My gosh, you've been here so many times. I'm starting to think we may need to keep a Guinness Book of World Records for most appearances on this broadcast.
It sounds great to me. Or make me a co-host. Just never know.
That's very true, because you and I come from different parts of the worlds here, but at the same time, we have a lot in common too. We love to read, we like to write. Some of my goals for this year are to write some 5,000 word short stories in this handy dandy notebook. Not to sound like a Blues Clues reference, but I do have a brand new notebook here that's got some inspiring stuff within it to keep my mind occupied. It's got some things in there. It says what is it called? The pen is mightier than the keyboard. So yeah, you're more likely to remember things if you write them down physically rather than
that is true. Yeah.
Typing it up on what is known as a computer system, which I don't have anything against computers, because look at us now. We're live on we're using internet. But some people use different ways to write their stories, and there's no shame in that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you have any questions for Teri M Brown as we go throughout the course of this episode, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat, and do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends if you're joining us live or what is known as a replay. Thank you so much for doing so. With that out of the way, Teri, for those who may be watching it or listening to us for the very first time, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
So who am I? I mean, that could last for hours, so I'll try to keep it short.
That's what we call an elevator pitch.
Yeah. So my elevator pitch. I started writing and publishing in January of 2022, but my stories started long before then. I thought I wanted to be an author as a child, but I also said that I wanted to be an Olympic ice skater and I wanted to be a brain surgeon. And given that don't like the sight of blood and I'm klutzy, neither one of those were going to happen. But I think what it was is I really loved books. I loved being just really immersed in the story. Just go through life. I got a college degree. My parents had no intention of giving me a college degree in writing. They said they wanted me to have something where I earned real money. I got married. I had a family. I ended up divorced. I got remarried. And it turned out that the guy I remarried, it was probably one of the bigger mistakes I made in my life. And he was emotionally abusive. And I didn't want to get out of that relationship because I didn't want to be divorced twice. So I hung in there for quite some time. But during that time, I really did start thinking about writing again. But I just didn't have a good place, safe environment in which to do it. But as soon as I got out of that relationship, the words started falling out of me. But I was terrified. I couldn't let anyone see what I was doing because I just didn't believe in myself anymore. I met Bruce, who became my husband eventually, and he did believe in me. He also encouraged me to do this huge adventure, which was riding across the United States on a tandem bicycle. So we started in Astoria, Oregon, went all the way to Washington, D.C., 3,102 miles. And it was at the end of that trip that I realized that I could do anything I put my mind to. I had just ridden across the United States on a tandem. What did I want to do? And the answer is I want to write. And so 14 months later, I had my first novel out. And now I have a book out about that trip that we took across the United States.
That was a lot longer than 60-second elevator pitch, so we're gonna have to dock you a few points for that.
Okay,
No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, it was a great true Hollywood story without minus the scandals, because there are no scandals in this story. But anyway,
well, there could be. If you need scandals, I'll add a few. But we'll.
Otherwise, you and I can start a new talk show where the format is, it's very simple: scandals and animals.
Yes, there
Sorry,
you
that's a
go.
line. That's a line from our Friendly Neighborhood Seinfeld episode when Kramer had the Merv Griffin set in his apartment. That was one of the better episodes. Lou Pons is saying hello to everybody. Hello, Lou Pons. Good to see you. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods. If you have any questions for Teri, let us know in the comments or the chat. No, but congratulations on that. Really, I mean, you brought it up. So let's just go to the elephant in the room, but in a good way. I don't mean it as a negative. So, what was it like putting this together?
This was an awesome book to put together because it reflected on one of the best times of my life, one of the hardest times of my life. So I tell people that it was like, the best, most wonderful, awesome, horrific, terrible trips I've ever taken, because it was both of those things. There were grueling days, there were wonderful days, but in the end, I was someone else. I started out the trip as someone who was very anxious and worried about life and didn't believe in herself. And I ended up as someone who realized that I have everything in me that I need to do whatever it is that I want to do. And it's just a matter of tapping into that. So being able to write up the story was fun. And it is not a travel log. It's not, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. If you want that, I kept a blog the whole way across the United States. That's on my website. Feel free to run right over there and take a look at it. But that's not what this book is. This book is, as I was reading my blog again, I realized that there were things that I really learned about me, about life, about other people. And I wanted to share that because those are the things that I kept grabbing onto in my life. When things weren't going well or when things were difficult, I would remember something that happened on the trip, and then I would pull that out for myself. And I thought, well, I'm going to write this down. And that is what has become my 10 little rules for a double-butted adventure.
Goodness gracious. Wow. And Astoria, Oregon, if I remember correctly, was the setting for the Goonies back in the day in 85, which was a great film. And that movie turns 40 this year, guys. 40.
Shh.
That's
Watch
okay.
your mouth.
It's okay. Listen, age is just a number. It's okay. It's not a big deal. By the way, I never thought I would say this, but my own brother is here, and he says, "Great show, y'all. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, Kevin.
Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods, brother." And that's my actual figure and literal brother. That's crazy. And Lou Pon says, "In the end, it appears you got where you needed to be. Well done," she says.
Thank you, Lou.
Excellent stuff. So, wow. Astoria to DC, you said it was? Goodness,
yeah.
great.
Yeah, 3,102 miles. And people have asked me, well, why don't you just say like 3,100 miles? And it's like, no, I know where that 2 miles was. I'm not cutting that 2 miles out. I know exactly where that was, and they count. But it was an amazing journey, and it was amazing for a lot of different reasons. I got to see things that you wouldn't normally see. When you're riding across the United States at an average of 10 miles an hour, you see a lot of things that you miss if you were in a car. And like I said, I had a lot of time. You sit on the back of a bicycle for that long. We left Astoria at the end of June, and we arrived in DC at the beginning of October. That is a lot of months in which you are, where you don't have anything else to do but ride. Our day consisted of riding and then the things needed at the end of the day to support the ride the following day. And that's all we did. And so I had a lot of time to think and to contemplate and to figure things out. So.
Wow. Goodness gracious. Wow. That is absolutely incredible. So I take it, did you play the Forrest Gump soundtrack in your earbuds when you were riding your bicycle? I can go my own way. We can go your own way.
So we played
in the background.
We played a lot. My husband loves music. And so we had, I think he has over 1,000 songs, and we had the iPod, and we would listen to music. Most of his, though, are 60s and 70s music. That's his favorite stuff. So lots of Beatles and lots of, just good Queen, lots of good songs. And lots of jokes. He's a jokester, and so he plays on words, and so he would do that, and then just sometimes silence, as you're riding along and you're just taking in the beauty. So.
Goodness gracious. Wow. I haven't been on a bicycle in many, many years. I think the last bicycle I may or may not have been on was a beach cruiser.
Yeah.
And I was down at the beach at one point with my family. So it's been a hot minute since I put these two legs on a bicycle and did some riding. But
Well, what will surprise you then is when we made this decision that we were going to do this big adventure, I had not been on a bicycle in 40 years.
oh my gosh.
So this is not something that was me. Like it's if I was going to do something that was like within my normal box, it would have been something simple like walking along the beach and collecting shells. I am not this big adventure kind of person. My husband was. He started riding like almost professionally, doing cycle racing in high school. And so for him, this wasn't too far outside of something that he would do other than the distance. The distance, of course, made it different than anything he had ever done. But for me, it was huge, well outside my box, which is why I think that I learned as much as I did while on this trip.
Wow. That's great stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us. Once again, we are here with award New York Times best-selling writer, Teri M Brown.
Don't I wish?
It'll happen. Trust me, it'll happen. On this episode of And I Quote, for those of you who are wondering where you are right now, so do not forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if you're joining us live or on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. If you have any questions for Teri, let us know in the comments or the chat box, the chat room, I should say. Thank you all. Thank you to those of you who have chimed in thus far. I want to give you all a shout out. So thank you so much for all your support. So when it comes to riding a bicycle, planning trips, I mean, your itinerary for this thing must have been like 6,000 pages long, probably longer than any of your books that you've published. Is that correct?
Well, so this is another funny story. I planned the whole trip sitting in the kitchen here in North Carolina, knew where we were going to stop every day, had the whole thing planned out. Unfortunately, on day one, we did not get as far as I thought we were going to get because I did not take into account that we would be going uphill almost the entire day. But that was okay. I kind of rearranged the schedule and we went again on day two. And on day two, we also didn't hit the goal that I set and I rearranged things. And on day three, when I realized we once again had not hit the goal, I threw that out because you just can't plan. You can't plan because you don't know the weather. You don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know how your bicycle is going to behave that day. Maybe you're going to have flat tires. Maybe, the chain's going to do something weird. You don't know all of those other things. So we had to start doing it day at a time. And at the end of one day, you would look and you would say, okay, here are different stopping points that we can make along the way. As we would approach one of them, we would say, so we can stop here, or do you have another 12 miles in you? Because we can wait and stop in 12 miles. And so that's how we had to do it, is you put away day one. At the end of that day, you put it away. And then you just rode day two. And you didn't think about day three anymore. You didn't think about day one. You had to stick with where you were. And then eventually you found out, here I am at the end at Washington, D.C.
Goodness gracious. Well, just out of curiosity, though, and I know there are certain pieces or certain restaurant chains that are more located on the West Coast and the East Coast, and that's okay, and that's fine and dandy. What was the popular rest stop? Was it a lot of Wawas? Was it a lot of, other stuff? Did Waffle House enter the equation at all?
No, we hit a lot of Dollar Generals. And one of the reasons for a Dollar General is they always have a bathroom, even though sometimes they have it locked, but they'll give you the key. And they had water and sodas and whatnot. They had snacks, and it was always air conditioned. So if you had been out riding in the heat, you could wander around in their air conditioned store for a little while and cool off. And then the other thing that my husband really loves is ice cream. And so whenever we could stop at a chain that had ice cream, that was his. So like Blizzards, things like that, he loved those. And so we would stop whenever there was something like that. That always made his day.
Okay. Man, Dollar General, that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Yeah. So Dollar Generals were found all the way across the United States. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they have just enough grocery that you can get some hefty snacks, and like you could find things like salami and cheese and some crackers, that kind of thing. Whereas sometimes at gas stations, it was actually a little harder and a lot more expensive. Dollar General was a lot cheaper to be able to find those kinds of snacks. And then, of course, we did hit restaurants on occasion, but Bruce and I rode across the United States during the summer of 2020, COVID summer. So there was a lot of things closed. So you had to really work hard at even where we were going to stay, because sometimes you would get someplace and you would find out that the campground you planned to to stay out that night was not open. And so you'd have to quick make a pivot and then figure out what you're going to do next.
Wow. Well, I guess this portion of, and I quote, is hashtag not sponsored by Dollar General. And maybe we should get you a Dollar General t-shirt. Do they even sell those somewhere?
I don't even know. I don't
humanly
even know.
possible. I mean, I know they have Waffle House t-shirts, but then again, Waffle House is a different kind of chain. But I know prices for eggs have gone up at Waffle House, unfortunately, but that's because of a little thing called the bird thing going around right now, which I don't want to talk about. But anyway,
you're not kidding.
no, I can't. When I heard that news, I'm thinking to myself, well, it's a good thing I don't eat scrambled eggs and bacon with my waffles every morning. Thank goodness. You know, I just throw my waffle, for me anyway, I just throw my waffles into the toaster because I got those, frozen ones you get from the store.
Right.
Toss in the toast for 3 minutes, ding, pops up, and then I pour a bunch of log cabin syrup on it, and everything is hunky dory. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now apparently at Waffle House and other places, they're charging a surcharge for eggs. So anything that you order that has an egg in it, they're going to add extra at the end because they don't want to reprint. Well, they don't want to reprint all their menus, right? And yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Be careful at Waffle House. No, I'm just kidding. But Waffle House, I'm still a fan of you guys. I wish you the best, but things are a bit turbulent right now with what's going on in the world.
With the
and I
eggs.
understand
Yeah,
that. You got to do what you got to do, right? Inflation is horrible. We all know that. But understandably. So if someone came to you and said, look, I love your book. I really want to get myself on a bike and start traveling again.
Yeah.
What's the first piece of advice you would give to somebody who wants to maybe not trek 3,500 miles across country, but maybe want to do something similar to it?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure that you have a bike that fits right. And I don't know a lot about my husband was good at that. He made sure that we had the appropriate equipment. So find someone who can help you, like go to a bike shop, probably an independent one where you can actually speak with an owner who absolutely knows what they're doing and talk with them about what kind of riding you want to do. Because if you want to ride on trails, that's a different kind of riding than riding on the street. And if you want to ride fast, that's a different kind of riding than touring. And you tell them like, what is it that you intend to do? And then find the right saddle seat, because you're going to be on it a lot, and having it fit right for you. You don't just go in. It's like shoes. You can go in and you say what size I am, but it doesn't mean that fits your foot. And it's the same thing with a saddle. You have to find something that really feels good for you. And so you have to keep trying things out. And then if you're going to do a long ride like I did, then I really recommend the shorts that have the gel pads in them, because you're sitting a lot, and those seats, even when you find one that is right for you, they're not comfortable. They're just not comfortable. So, having the right equipment and then practice. Do not go and try to do something really big until you have done enough practice that you know how you handle the bike, how the bike handles you, that you know how to do the repairs that need to be done and those kinds of things before you would even consider doing something really long.
The more you know. Sorry, I don't have the graphic here. But you catch my drift. So what? Just out of curiosity, but aside from whether it's being on a bike, traveling through train, or you're in a vehicle, you're traveling, in a car and all that kind of stuff, what's the best thing for you about traveling in general? What's your favorite thing about it?
Oh, I just love seeing new things. I love experiencing something that I've not experienced before. And we did that over and over and over. One of the coolest things that happened to us, we were in Montana. It had been just a difficult day. We were kind of toward the end of a day, and I was no longer even looking around. I was just kind of bent down, looking at my legs, watching them go up and down, and just telling myself, you've got this. We're almost there. And Teri, look at that. And I looked up, and off to the right, there was a pasture of horses, and they started running with us. And we're going up, and they're running along with us. And they came to the end where their fence was, and the stallion at the front pawed at the ground and shook his mane. And we kind of went up over the crest, and off we went. And I thought, you couldn't have paid to have that. That's like a movie scene, where the horses start running with you. And we couldn't have paid money to make that happen. And I think it's that kind of thing that I enjoy when I'm traveling, is just that experience of something that you don't get to do at home. That you wouldn't ever be able to do at home, and things that you would never see.
So in other words, live in the moment. Just
absolutely
embrace it, right?
Absolutely.
Fascinating. In the words of our good friend Dr. Spock. So when you hear that word, Right, because everyone has a different feeling about this or a different definition of it, and that's fine
Yeah.
too. Because everyone's interpretation is going to be different. When I pose this question, when you hear the word writing, what does writing mean to you?
Writing?
Yeah, writing a story. Like
Yeah,
how
okay.
what's that fire that comes out of you? What is so important to you about being a writer and just writing in general?
I think for me, I just have words. They're there. I have stories that are in my head. I have characters that are in my head. Makes me sound a little crazy, and maybe I am. But these characters have things to say, and I just feel compelled to get them out on paper and let other people see them. I also think that while I'm writing, I often think about things that are going on in the world around me, and how can I bring out maybe like a new way of looking at things through whatever it is that I'm writing. So I often write historical fiction, and we like to believe that, things in history and we've changed so much, but we really haven't, because there was racism in history, and there was xenophobia in history, and there was family issues in history, and all the things that we experience today. And so it's kind of interesting sometimes to take something you see happening in today's world and showing how that played out in a different time period. And then it allows people to have conversations, about today's world without actually talking about today, which makes it easier, because it's really difficult to discuss some hot button topics with people if you're talking about today. But if you're talking about some other past time, then it opens up the door to discussion. So
Just don't turn into Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
no, I don't think so.
That adaptation as a movie, I thought to myself, what are they really grasping at straws here in Hollywood now?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
Pride and Prejudice is one of the most popular stories of all time, but zombies? What does that have to do with
Zombies.
anything? Nothing.
Yeah, it's what I guess it's what they thought people wanted.
Yeah, because The Walking Dead was popular at the time, the TV
Yeah.
series, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking, too many zombies, get out of here. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you're talking about. But even though it's still early in the process, what has been the response? What has the response been like for this new book you have out now?
Yeah, no, everyone seems to really like it. I think that the only negative response that I got was someone who thought that they were going to get a day by day of what happened to me on the trip. And like I said, if that's what you want, really head on over to my website. It's my name, TeriMBrown.com. You'll find the blog there, and you can read my day by day. This is more of things that I learned while, riding across the United States on a tandem bicycle. And for those people who understood what they were getting, everyone seems to really like it. I have a friend who read it and said, Teri, I can hear your voice in my head as I read the chapter, which is really good. That means I did a really good job of staying true to who I was while writing this. And it really isn't so much about riding a bicycle as much as it's about how to live an adventurous life. So, are you trying to do something new and different? Are you moving to a new city? Are you getting a new job? Are you starting a new relationship? Are you doing something, learning to watercolor, something that is different than what you've been doing in the past? And if the answer is yes, then this book will give you some rules that kind of help you navigate that and figure out how to do it with joy. So yeah, I think that people generally have been really excited about it.
So in other words, here in 2025, adventure does have a name, and that name is Teri M Brown, not
There you
Indiana
go.
Jones.
Absolutely. I mean, I did ride 3,102 miles all the way across the United States. So
I don't think Indiana Jones ever did that. I mean, he flew
no,
across, the world because it's a globe-trotting adventure with the Indiana Jones series,
right.
respectively. But at the same time, I don't think I remember hearing him saying, "Oh yeah, I took a bicycle, I rode 3,000." No, you didn't.
Of course, I've never been in a cavern full of snakes. So,
True.
there you have it.
Yeah. I don't know if, would you be willing to be in a cavern full of snakes? Otherwise, you'd be turning like Saul and be like, gasps. Looks very dangerous. You go first.
You go for no. There's no way. There is. In fact, it's usually during those parts in a movie that I have my eyes closed and my ears closed. Like
Really?
I plug my ears, because it's like, oh, I can't. Oh, snakes, spiders, any of those things. I don't want to see it.
So when
Let me
Indian
know when
Marion or
it's
in the Well
over.
of the Souls, you couldn't watch those sequences because there were so many snakes around and creepy
Snakes
crawlers?
and no.
I mean, it's one of the most popular movies of all time, but okay.
Well, I'm so sorry. I
Okay,
know
it's
I've
okay.
disappointed you, Ryan.
No, it's all right. We're still BFFs. I'm just a little surprised that you would say to me and the person who may be watching or listeners right now. Yeah, during Raiders of the Lost Ark, I cover my eyes during half the movie because of all the snakes and creatures
I
that are
do cover
involved.
my eyes a lot. I do.
Yeah.
But I also plug my ears because the music starts to do things and I know, oh no, here it comes. And so but so my husband laughs at me because I get obviously I have a great imagination and I get really into the movies, and it doesn't take a lot to scare me. We were watching Jurassic Park and I was almost on the floor underneath the seat. And he's just laughing at me. And it was like, the dinosaurs, they're coming. What else are you supposed to do but hide from them? I mean, only a fool would not be hidden from these dinosaurs. And he just laughs at me. So it's just the way I watch things. I get into it. I really get into it. Really, really honest to goodness, scary movies are just so scary for me that I can't even handle them.
Wow. Well, according to the chat room, Lou Pond says snakes and spiders are some of my favorite critters.
Well, good for you, Lou. I'll send all of mine to you.
So in other words, you're the one sitting on top looking down in the cabinet of snakes and saying, snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes?
Exactly. That's exactly.
So you're basically Indy, who has a fear of snakes. He literally does.
Yeah.
But ironically, in real life, Harrison Ford's not afraid of any creatures whatsoever. He just does it for the character. And I thought, whoa, because in the movie, you convincingly,
you'd think that you'd think he felt just the way I felt, which is I can't get down.
He doesn't mind
right?
it. I mean, there's a behind the scenes footage when they were filming Last Crusade, the third film in the series that came out in '89, which, by the way, that's the first Indiana Jones film I ever saw. Was Last Crusade, hence the reason it's my personal favorite. But when he's in the room full of rats in the sewers down there in Venice, Venice, Italy, Venice, he's just having one of them on his shoulder, having one of them on his arm, and I'm like, dude, I'd be kind of freaking out if I had one of those things on my arm. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to handle it. So.
And he just seemed to be fine with it, which blows my mind because if you had film of me, it'd just be running. I'd be running all the time. Teri's running. Why is she running? Oh, look, there's scurry things coming after her. It was just...
So you would drop the Jeff Goldblum line. Must go faster.
Yes.
Must go faster. That's what he says in Jurassic Park. Must go faster.
Yes.
Anybody hear that?
Absolutely.
It's something's coming. It's getting closer. All right, come on. We got to get out of here. Come on. And Jeff Goldblum is great. He's a great actor. We love the guy. Honestly, I mean, and I mean, I know this is probably not something you would use in your everyday life, but in the words of Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park, you not being in front of critters and everything, and you just being away from certain things. I mean, I know you can do that on your own terms, but at the same time, it's kind of like saying life finds a way. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all good. Lou Pond says, I've been to Venice, Italy, but I stayed out of the sewers, which is where Last Crusade, parts of Last Crusade, I think, were filmed. Otherwise, they may have built it on a soundstage. I can't remember exactly if it was a soundstage that they built it on. They actually did certain pieces of filming down in the actual sewers. Maybe they got location scouting done for it, but maybe they didn't actually physically shoot the film down there. I can't remember exactly, but there's a documentary about it on YouTube you can find, I'm sure. But yeah, Last Crusade, it's good stuff. The thing I've always wanted when it comes to the Indiana Jones portion of the whole thing, one of the things I want to do is travel to some of the places where Last Crusade was filmed, especially Jakarta. Where the Grail, the Holy Grail, is resting in that place. It's located in the mountains. I want to see that. I want to be there. I just want to have my hat on, have my outfit, even though it's probably going to be scorching hot, and ride up there on a horse. Because I haven't done horseback riding since I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
I want to try it again. You know what I mean? Get my inner Indiana Jones coming out and like do some horseback rider training again. Maybe do some stunt coordination. Maybe jump on top of a tank and just start beating the enemy on top of it. I don't know. It's just that's the adventure side of me starting to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see you doing this. This is good.
All right, someone get a camera and a tripod. We need to shoot this. All right, guys, we're doing it next weekend. Let's go. Quiet on the set here.
I don't know. I think you're going to need a little more horseback training before you fly straight out there. Okay, that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. Yeah, training is very, very important. Breathe in, breathe out. Remember to breathe. Very important. That's what Mr. Miyagi taught us back in '84's Karate Kid. Show me sand the floor. Anyway, once again, this is I know, right? It's great. And Cobra Kai was a great television series. I don't know if you call it Cobra Kai, but it's really good. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great stuff. They just wrapped up season 6. I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers for me, folks. But I do want to remind you that this is, and I quote, with New York Times bestselling writer Teri M Brown. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you're joining us live or what is known as a replay, thank you for doing so. If you have any questions for Teri M Brown, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. I'd be more than happy to hear from you with all due respect. So what pieces of advice would you give to new writers out there trying to get their feet wet?
Yeah, I always tell writers that there's a lot of people who say, oh, I wish I could write. I really want to write, but then they don't actually go do it. And you can't be a writer until you start writing. And you're not going to get better at writing by reading about it, by talking about it, by watching other people do it, by reading what other people wrote. You only get better at writing by actually writing. So the first thing you have to do is, get your butt in a chair and write. And then once you've written enough that you're starting to feel comfortable with what you've written, you need to find a critique group, either a group or a good friend or someone that you can share what you've written and listen to what they have to say. Because eventually your writing is meant for someone else. You write for you to get it out of you, but it is for the reader. And so listen to, what does the reader have to say? What would they like to see more of, less of? Where are your weak spots? What are the things that you need more training in? And then start working on those. And eventually you'll come to a point where what you have is good enough to find an editor, and then let someone who's professional really help you learn what you can do to make that even better. So it's just a matter of write, practice, and continue learning all the way through.
Very true. Very true. How difficult is it when you're writing something that's in the realm of historical fiction? Because I hear historical fiction could be quite heavy when it comes to putting a story together, or even doing the research before you even start writing the actual story. Is that true?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of research involved, especially if you're writing historical fiction, because you have two parts of this story. You have historical and then the fiction. The fiction is you. You can do a lot of things, but it has to be done within the bounds of whatever was going on in history. And you can't keep your characters within the bounds of history unless you know what that history is. And so there is a lot of research that goes into it. When I'm writing, I have three that fall into the historical fiction category. And when I'm writing those, I do three parts in my research. I do research before I ever start, just to get a really good feel for the setting and what's going on in that time period. I do some research while I'm writing, because maybe I'll write something and I'll think, was that even possible? Did that product even exist? And I'll do some quick research to find out if I can even go forward with this scene the way I think that I'm going to go forward with it. And then I have to do research at the end to make sure that, was I correct? And sometimes to add more flavor in, to make sure that you really are showing the setting. And like I need more information that I haven't put in here, and so you do it again. So I kind of research throughout the entire process.
Fair points. Fair points. Excellent. Do you have any plans to dive back into the historical fiction genre anytime soon?
Well, not super soon, but I do have an idea that's floating around in my head. What I've got going on next is I have a children's picture book that I hope to have out later this spring. And it came to me while on this ride. So we're riding across the United States, lots of time to think. And I came up with this cool idea about trains. And so I've got the illustrations have now been completed, and I'm working on the final portions of getting that book out. And I'm hoping to have it out, hopefully by May. And then I have a contemporary fiction that I'm writing. It's humorous. It's about a woman going through menopause. It's just kind of a tongue-in-cheek, very funny, very much my own voice, even though it is fiction and a character that is not me. There's a lot of my own experiences and experiences of friends and whatnot that are in it that make you laugh. But then I also have now an idea that's floating out there that won't leave me alone, that's back to historical fiction, but I think it might have a little bit of mystery involved in it. Mystery, potentially thriller, not heavy thriller. I don't know. I haven't gotten far enough with the thought pattern yet, but I kind of have like a dual timeline. Someone today is somehow connected to someone in the past. I don't know. It's there. We'll see what comes of it.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know your docket was that that long of ideas and everything, because you're mentioning all these different things that are coming down the pike, and all I can think of is
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
it's you're gonna need a bigger boat / notebook for all this stuff. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Well, and I have a lot of ideas that fly through my head like this, and so I'm constantly creating. I have a little folder, and I put those ideas down. I'll put just enough information that I'm not going to forget, that I'll know where I wanted to go with something, and then I'll tell my brain, now hush up about that. I can't do that right now. I can't think about that and write this and do this all at the same time. And you figure I'm also currently launching this book. It just came out on Valentine's Day, so I'm busy with a launch. I'm busy trying to get a children's book out, and I'm writing a manuscript all pretty much simultaneously. And so when I get these other ideas, it's like, yeah, I don't have time to look at you right now. I can't do too many things at once. I'm already kind of, treading water here, barely swimming. And so, but that's the way my brain works. It's always on high speed.
Better than high-speed internet. That's, in the words of our friendly neighborhood Pixar, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just
Exactly.
keep swimming. Just keep
Exactly.
swimming. As Dory said. By the way, Lou Pond says, I have no problem showing off my artwork, but when it comes to my writing, I get shy about it. I'm dyslexic, so I don't feel too confident.
I think the best thing to do in a case like that is to find the one person that you don't feel shy with, that you trust to be real honest with you. Not someone who's just going to pat you on the back and say, oh, I just love what you wrote. Like, I can show my work to one of my daughters, and everything I write, she loves. Oh, I just love it, Mom. And then I have another daughter that I can show my work to, and she's a lot more critical. But she likes what I write, but she will say, I like this, and you need something here, and I felt like it dragged a little in this area. You need to find someone who can do both, who can give you the I don't know, they call it the sandwich, where you have something nice, something that needs to be worked on, something nice. And you need to find someone in your life that you feel comfortable doing that with. Being dyslexic, I understand. I'm not having had it. I don't know don't know exactly how that must feel, but I know that a lot of people, I have a lot of author friends who've had different learning disabilities and still can get out there and write. Writing is, yeah, you may have trouble with some of the grammar parts and some of the things that you're putting down, but the ideas are coming from your brain that knows what good ideas are. If you watch movies, if you like stories in any way, then you know how to do that. So yeah, I just recommend keep writing, and then definitely find one or two people you feel comfortable showing that work to. The more you show it, the less shy you feel about it, the easier it becomes. It's just like anything that you do. It starts to become natural that you're going to show your work.
Wise words. What does she need me for? She can host this show better than me. I don't even know why I'm here. I'm not, in the words of Clerks, I'm not even supposed to be here today. So that's going back many years. And then Lou Pons just commented, that's good advice. Thank you, Teri.
You're welcome, Lou.
See? There you go. And this is something I've learned too, for those of you who are interested in becoming writers or wanting to get ideas, or, find someone to help you along with the writing process. There are Discord servers out there. Discord is an app you download on your phone. There's a lot of Discord servers, which means there are different kinds of groups that exist on Discord, and you're able to get in them once you get an invite from someone who's already a part of the group. So for example, perfect example, I was at a convention a few weeks ago, and a friend of mine who's a sci-fi writer, she's an indie sci-fi writer, she's a good friend of ours here at the show, Adina Mignona. So she writes sci-fi, and she loves science fiction. Plus, she works, Northrop Grumman, so she works in, outer space numbers and all this other stuff. So she knows a lot more than I do. And she pointed me in the direction of a writers group that's on Discord, and she sent me. I got an invite, became a part of it, and then I can, there's all these different like subcategories, like writer section, writers prompts, which writing prompts are a very big thing.
Absolutely.
Whether it's from the past or the present, they're very, very big things. So if you're having trouble finding a way to start writing a story, look up writing prompts on Google or look them up on Discord servers. Another Discord server I just joined is an adventure fiction Discord. Specifically, it's called the Men's Adventure Fiction Discord. And they've been very, very good to me. And they've got tons of different categories, like, how to, research, how to get fit for adventure, the types of weaponry that are used in adventure books, or the types of clothing that may be used, or, maybe you want some podcasts you can listen to that give writing advice, or social media ideas for marketing. Because let's face it, being a writer and marketing is incredibly important. I mean, marketing, is one of the biggest.
Marketing is crazy. When I first started, so my first book came out in January of 2022, and I sat in front of my computer and waited for the sales to come in, and was very disheartened to find out that's not the way this works. Nobody knew I existed. I had not done any marketing before the book came out. I didn't know what to do. And so I quickly started learning about marketing. And yeah, you have to be a marketer in order to be an author with a book that has any sales. You've got to figure out that whole marketing aspect of it. And I tell people that the biggest thing, my number one rule of marketing is you have to be able to say, I've written a good book and you should read it. And if you can't say that, then go back and figure out, is it because you haven't written a good book, or is it because you need to work on being able to tell people about it? Because it's going to fall flat. You can't say, like, I could never have contacted you, Ryan, and said, so Ryan, I've written kind of an okay, sort of passable book, and I was hoping that maybe someday you might consider the possibility of writing it, and then maybe I could come on and talk a little bit about maybe my writing, sort of. I mean, that isn't going to make you say, oh, now that's a guest that I want. And so you have to be able to just really plug that for yourself and say, I've written a good book. You really should read it. And if you can do that, then the marketing that you figure out how to do will be much better. And it will really hit your audience because you believe in your work. And if you believe in your work, then your marketing will definitely come across better.
So it comes down to self-confidence, right? You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your book, your story, your writing, your whatever it may be, because the more you believe in it, the more people are going to see that come through you, because they say that the eyes are the gateway to the soul. And the other thing is enthusiasm, folks. If you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic, and that enthusiasm will carry on with your target audience, right? Or your target demographic when it comes to marketing.
I mean, when you think about it, Ryan, would you have invited me on the show if I came across and did like this and said, I'm not sure, but it would have been like, oh, thanks anyway, right? But instead you took a chance with a historical fiction author that you'd never heard of before, and you'd never even really had a historical fiction author on your show, and I don't quite fit your genre. I don't quite fit your demographics. I'm a 61-year-old woman. There's a lot of things that didn't quite fit, and yet you took a chance on me. And I think part of that is I was enthusiastic about my book, and I told you that I felt that we could find a way to make it fit, and you agreed with me, and here we are with me on your show again for, I think, the third or fourth time.
I think it's the third time. Third time's a charm. Let the big doggy. And it's fantastic, because the other thing is, one of the teachers we had when we were younger in the 90s, her name was Miss Frizzle. I don't know if anyone remembers Miss Frizzle.
Yes, I loved Miss Frizzle.
She said, take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. So it's take chances, right? You got to take chances. You got to take a risk, right? Because without risk, there can be no reward, period.
Exactly.
So, I didn't know, I don't think I've ever read a historical fiction novel a day in my life. And if I had, it's been 150 years since I've done it. Sorry, America. But, but I'm not against interviewing people who've written in the genre before, nor am I against meeting people at conventions, because I go to conventions all the time. And I did that one a few weeks ago, as I explained, and that's how I got into the Writers Society Discord one that I found. And then my friend who was also there and on the panels that I was there to attend, I wasn't moderating them, I was just attending them. She mentioned something about Toastmasters. Says, well, what is Toastmasters? And then she brought up
speaking, the ability to stand up in front of people and offer the world what you have to say, right? Yeah,
she brought it up. She told me, she said to everybody in the room what it was about, where you can find it. And then I went on social media. I went to Facebook more appropriately. They have a Facebook group for the international group, and then they have ones for each chapter in every state.
Yeah.
So if you want to look up what Toastmasters is, there's a website online for it, and there's also Facebook pages for your specific chapter, whether you're in Indianapolis, Indiana, or you're in Boston, Massachusetts, New York City, or what's another one? Seattle, Washington, right? Astoria, Oregon. I'm sure there's a Toastmasters out there in Oregon. So I don't know. Have you been a part of Toastmasters before?
No, I've not done it. In fact, with you saying that, I thought, ooh, that is something that maybe I would enjoy, because now everyone will laugh. No one believes this, but it's true. In January 2022, when my book came out, I was afraid to do public speaking, terrified of it. My very first podcast that I did, that I got on about 30 minutes before it started, because I was afraid I was going to miss the time. I had not eaten all day. I was absolutely terrified. I could not imagine that this was going to go well. And when we were done, I thought, wow, that was kind of fun. And then not too long after that, I had an in-person event where I had to stand up in front of, maybe 30 people. And I was so nervous that I could hardly, I couldn't even hear. My heart was beating so loud in my ears. But when I was done with that, I thought, well, that wasn't too bad. And now I absolutely enjoy public speaking. So it might be something that I would enjoy doing the Toastmasters.
Yeah, well, feel free to look it up on social media. Hashtag not a sponsor. Toastmasters, not a sponsor. But
Not a sponsor,
listen,
not
if they
sponsored.
want to be, call me maybe. By the way, Lou Pond says, I was in Toastmasters a while back myself. Well, Lou, if you have any experiences or pieces of advice you want to offer the person who's watching and listening to this right now, including Teri and myself, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
And thank you, Lou, for chiming in about that. You were in Toastmasters at one point. That's cool.
Yeah, I think I do think that might be something that would push me forward to the next level in my speaking. I think that would be great.
Fair point. Fair point. Gee, Well, something I've used for marketing, and this is something that it's available widely for everybody. It's free. Canva. Canva.com is a great way
Yes.
for marketing too.
Absolutely.
That's how I designed the early stages of my podcast, of the anti-quote / nerd culture part of my podcast career. I was designing the thumbnails and the flyers and all that kind of stuff. And Teri, you've seen some of the things I've done on Canva.
Well, and this poster behind me was created on Canva, and then I had it printed somewhere else. But yeah, this poster was done on Canva. Everything I do is also Canva.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we got a lot of potential sponsorships here. I'm liking it. No, I'm kidding. But Canva has been very, very good to me. So if you go to canva.com, there's a free version of it. There's paid portions of it, but just go with the free one. It's got plenty of templates, right? It's got templates. It's got the colors. It's got the clip art, I think it is, and pictures and designs and different fonts too. You need to play around with the fonts a little bit
and find out what works for you, what feels good.
Yeah, that's very true. That's another thing we need to keep in mind here, because marketing is very important, right? But a good place for marketing is canva.com. So feel free to look it up. There's also tutorials that you can find on social media, which includes YouTube. I mean, we're broadcasting this episode on YouTube, and YouTube has a floodgate of tons of different tutorials for different things in writing. As a matter of fact, someone brought this up to us the other day. They said, here are 7 writing cues for things you may want to journal about, because he goes over what the differences are between journaling and writing in a diary.
Yeah.
And he gives you little questions to ask yourself of what you want to journal about. It's just some like writing prompts. And I thought, ooh, this is deep stuff. And this was a video I found through a new Substack newsletter. Substack is a big deal too. And it's through geekystoics.com. Now, if you're not familiar with Geeky Stoics, they basically take things from pop culture and philosophy and help you incorporate it into your everyday life. So if you're curious about that, you can find them at geekystoics.com. Check out their newsletter. Check out their Substack. Are you familiar with Substack, I'm assuming?
I am. Now, I actually don't have a Substack yet, because when I got started, Substack wasn't a thing. And not everyone here knows, but my husband was very ill with, he had brain cancer. And so I had trouble starting anything new in terms of, like, I was already up to my eyeballs with what I could handle. He passed away recently, and which has freed up time. And I don't mean that in any way that sounds bad. It did sound kind of bad, and that's not what I meant. But I'm looking at things like trying Substack and trying a few things that I've kind of put on the back burner for a while, because trying to come up with a whole new way of marketing, it was like I've already got my marketing machine going, and I'm just going to leave it the way it is at the moment. But I have a lot of friends that are doing Substack, and they really like it, so I'm going to take a look.
All right, nothing wrong with I mean, earlier on, because we talked about this at the top of the hour, all we got to do is take a look. It's in a book, but take a look at Substack. It's in a Substack. Sorry. That's my weird, twisted way of putting a spin on a popular catchphrase. Lou Pond says Toastmasters environment is absolutely great. It's a positive vibe. The feedback is valuable every single time.
Yeah. See, and so Lou, what you need to find is a group of people like Toastmasters for your writing. That'll be the thing where you feel like it was positive, that it was good advice, and it was things that you could take home and work with. I have a critique group that I work with. It's 6 ladies. We get together once a month. We turn in chapters to one another. Each of us critiques. We talk about it over, coffee, and we sit around for about 3 hours, and we go over everything. And when I walk away with all of the notes that were given to me about what I've written, and I've heard all of the other advice for everyone else. And sometimes the advice for someone else will also be very valuable for me. It's like, ooh, I do that same thing, or that's something that I need to look at in my work or whatever. So.
Interesting. So after these chats and meetings that you have with your friends in this writers group and the get-togethers you all have, at the end of the day / night, when everything is all said and done, you're packing up your stuff, you're getting ready to leave the venue. Is this what ends up happening?
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
You know, just enthusiastic high fives. Everyone.
Similar. We're a little older, maybe not quite as much enthusiasm, but
Oh, okay.
definitely, yeah.
Okay, it's all right. Listen, age is just a number. I mean, fun fact, because you mentioned something about being afraid of creatures. Jaws turns 50 this year.
Yeah.
So
Oh, so I remember seeing, my dad took me to see Jaws.
really,
And it's a funny story. He was in home construction, and on maybe 2 or 3 days before we went to see Jaws, he actually did a horrible number on his thumb with some kind of a saw. And so he's got stitches and big bandage, and so he's walking around with his thumb up in the air like this. And we're sitting there. He took me and two of my girlfriends. We're watching Jaws, and that point where the head pops out from the boat. So the boat's sunk, and you hear the music, and you know you're going to see a shark any minute. And instead, that head pops up. I screamed and grabbed at my dad and ended up grabbing his thumb. So he screamed. So everyone in the movie theater thought my dad was screaming because of the shark music and everything. And what he was really screaming at was that his daughter hurt him. But yeah, I'll never forget that.
wow, that's, oh my goodness, that's one for the books, folks. That's this shark swallow your whole. That is that is. I mean, that's more entertaining than Quint and what happens to him at the end of the movie. Because man, he easily could have gotten out of that, but they kind of made it seem like he couldn't get out of it. Like you could swim your way out of that shark's mouth, man. You didn't have to get.
I don't know. It's a shark's mouth. Let's be honest.
I know, but like he had all this room before the water kept trying to pull him in. And I'm just thinking, Quint, you can keep pushing your feet up like this, I don't know. I thought he could have, but then again, that's just me being a little minor nitpick about Jaws. But Jaws is a classic, with all due respect.
It is.
It turns the big 5-0 this summer, which I think we're going to be doing a movie watch along for that in the month of July, because hence the reason the mayor looks at him and says, "You yell shark," and we got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And let me tell you, it was years before beaches were okay again after Jaws. People wouldn't get in the water. People would go on vacation and there's no one out in the water. Yeah, Jaws really had a big
It had an effect on people. Let's just put it that way. Lou Pond says that head popping out surely did a number on me too, Terry.
Yes. I don't know. Like I said, you're expecting the shark. They have the shark music. You're waiting for the shark. And instead this head pops out. It just sent me back in my chair. Yeah, it was, but then again, I told you how I react to movies. So it's
Creepy
not surprising.
crawlers and little jump scares don't do anything for Teri M Brown. So keep them away from her and don't let her anywhere near creepy crawly critters.
Absolutely.
For sure. Just out of curiosity though, since you and I, we both like music here, when it comes to our good friend John Williams, the legendary John Williams, what's your favorite John Williams score?
Oh heavens. You do this to me all the time. You do realize you do this to me, and then I never have answers.
It's not that hard of a question. I mean,
Well,
is it?
it is for me. It is for me because I don't know. I don't have a favorite. I tend not to have favorites of a lot of things. I don't have a favorite movie. I don't have a favorite book. I don't have a favorite author.
That's okay.
I just don't. When people say, "Well, who's your favorite author?" It's like, well, the last person that I read. Like I enjoy music. And then if you said to me, well, here's something, what about this one? It'd be like, oh yeah, I like that one. But then you would say, well, what about this one? And I'd say, yeah, I like that one too. So I'm not a favorite kind of girl. Sorry about it.
No, it's okay. Well, when you think of John Williams, what's the first score that pops into your head?
I don't think of one.
You don't think of one?
No, like you would have to tell me what they were, and then I would say, "Oh yeah,
well,
I know that one."
He's done all the originals. He's done Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did Jurassic Park. He did Jaws.
Yeah, I like all of them.
The Extraterrestrial.
Oh, now E.T. See, I love E.T. So it'd probably be E.T. just because that one I don't know. I love that whole movie.
Fun home.
My favorite scene of that one though is when In fact, I actually tried to do a photo shoot of my child that
Did
way.
you?
When you see E.T.
Yeah.
in the closet,
Oh,
and
yes.
there's all the stuffed animals, and then he's kind of in the middle of it.
Mhm.
So when my son was born, babies sometimes have a little bit of an extraterrestrial look to them, and so his first 1 month picture, we have him dressed in this little frog costume and have him in the middle of all of these stuffed animals with his little head poked out as an ET kind of reference. So
Wow, that's okay. That's adorable. I mean, if Drew Barrymore were here, she would say, "What's happening?"
yeah.
You know,
When was ET?
that was 82, I want to say.
Okay. All
I think
right.
it was it 82, fellas? I think it was 82 because Raiders of the Lost Ark was the year before in 81, and then he had ET the Extraterrestrial, and I think it was 82.
Okay. Well,
And
my son was born in 89, but ET was still like a big thing. And so, I mean, like in my mind, because I loved that movie. And so, yeah, so that's what we did is we did kind of an ET recreation for his 1 month photo shoot.
That's so cute. Did your son ever end up dressing up like ET or maybe Indiana Jones type character?
Now, I don't remember him doing that. One year for Halloween, he dressed up as Santa Claus. And he was 7 years old when he did it. And he said to me, this is going to be so funny. It's so ironic. And it just made me laugh that here he was 7 years old and he thinks that it's ironic that Santa Claus is going to show up on Halloween.
That is ironic. It really is. Even though Santa Claus, he makes a cameo. Well, he actually has a bit of a supporting part in the animated movie Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. Yes.
Even though he's in, Jack Skellington lives in Halloween Town, he pays a visit to Christmas Town.
Right.
And then his crew kidnaps Santa to bring him over to Halloween Town to spread the holiday cheer. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but you figure this was before he would have seen something like that. He just had this idea. He just thought it would be funny.
It's funny because now I'm thinking of the song where Jack goes into Christmas Town. He's saying, "What's this? What's this? There's carpet everywhere. What's this? There's magic in the air. I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What is this?" And Lupin says, "You are correct. E.T. was released in 1982.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you for Googling that for me because
I was going to say it's good to have our fact checkers in the background, right?
It is. And Lupin's is just one of many. So thank you, Lou. Appreciate you very much. And we appreciate you who may be watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote with award-winning writer Teri M Brown. Right now, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments of the chat. And do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you're watching us live or on a replay, thank you very much for, doing that. So, and I know we've talked about this a few times before on previous shows or episodes of And I Quote. But what's more fun for you, fiction or nonfiction to write in?
I think that I like fiction more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason is it allows me to really be creative, really pull characters together. When I wrote this book, it's about me, and me. And you can only be so creative. Like it's true things. Everything that happened is true. And so I enjoyed that, but I think I really enjoy digging into and creating new characters and seeing where they take me. This latest book was more about, I've already done this cool thing and now what's the best way to write about it? And when I write my novels, it's, I've got this really cool character. Let's see where we go with it. And so it's just a very different way of writing. And I enjoy the fiction writing.
Fair enough. With this children's book coming out, if they ever did a reboot, which I hope that they do at some point or another, even though I know it's probably past its time to do it, but you can also do it as a digital thing on social media. Yeah. If they brought back Reading Rainbow, does that mean your children's book is gonna make an appearance on there where he says, there are all these great books out there, but you don't have to take my word for it. Dun-dun-dun, and then it just goes right into your segment, Teri.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. So that book is going to be called Little Lola and Her Big Dream is the name of the book. And she's a little train. She wants to be a space train. And so all her friends are talking about what they want to be. And she says she wants to be a space train and everyone laughs at her. And so she goes home very sad. And her mom says, well, why don't we go over and talk with some of these retired trains and find out what they were. And so she talks and she finds out, so kids will learn all about the kinds of trains. But in the end, she says that she's going to hang on to her dream and still wants to be a space train. no sooner had I written this story than it came out that they are actually looking at putting a train on the moon that will move things from one side of the moon to the other when they're considering putting like a space station there. And I've saved that article, and at the very back of the book, it says to the kids, hey, you need to continue to dream like little Lola, who did not know that there would be a space train, and now there is one. And so, keep dreaming is kind of the idea behind the book.
That's something else. I mean, that is a mic drop moment if I ever heard one. But congratulations on that, or that
Thanks.
upcoming book. I mean, a children's, man, this. Have you've written children's books before, haven't you? Or is this a bit of a new
No.
territory that you're going
New
into?
territory. I don't like to be put in a box. People like to say, oh, Teri is a historical fiction author. And I say, nope, that's not what Teri is. Teri is an author. And I write characters. I write about characters. It's character driven. And so, yes, I have written some historical fiction and I enjoy it. But if you like a good character, come read my books because I have great characters and you'll want to be wherever they are.
Giddy up. This is exciting stuff. This is very exciting stuff. It's 2025. It's a new year. A lot of things are happening out there. Now, I know things may be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs right now in the world with certain landscapes that are going on, but at the same time, books are everywhere. They're available everywhere. And the best thing we can do is support them. Leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads.com,
Absolutely.
which is Goodreads is an app you can download to your phone or your mobile device. I have it. That's where I keep track of all the books I've read. Granted, it's been a hot minute since I've read something completely. I'm sorry, Teri. The last thing I read was a Stormgate Press quick reads book, which was called The Purple Mystique, pulp novel set in the 40s with this mysterious woman who wears a purple fedora, a purple trench coat. She goes out and fight the forces of evil. So it's basically like a bit of a wink and a nod to the Shadow of the 40s, because I love the Shadow. I mean, the Shadow is my favorite old school, pulp type character. The weed of crime bears bitter fruit, as one might say. So
Absolutely.
that's the last thing I read, which was many months ago, many moons ago, which feels like hello. But with that being said, the good news is Teri M Brown is one of the best in the world, and we're happy to support her in any way, shape, or form that we can. So Teri, thank you so much for being a part of this episode of And I Quote. It's great to have you back here, and congratulations on the release of this new one you have out right now, and all these ideas that have come to your desk, and you're putting in the process of piecing them together as it all comes into one gorgeous looking canvas. So if someone wants to know more about you, purchase copies of your book or books, where can they follow you on social media, Teri?
The best place is actually go to my website, which is my name, Teri M Brown, Teri with one R.com. And there you will find all of my social media links. That's easy. I'm pretty much, if there's a social media, I'm on it. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can order my books there. If you order it from me and live in the United States, I'll send you a signed copy. I have just a contact page, and I also have a podcast that I do where I talk with other authors. And so if you're an avid reader and you are kind of trying to find like, what's your next book? It's a great podcast to listen to learn about new and upcoming authors.
Oh, that's another. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah. How is the podcast going for you these days?
Going
How are
great.
things going on that front?
Yeah, no, it's going good. I've had it for about a year now. I have a lot of authors that are excited to be on. The way I do it is I always read the book. And so I have 1 or 2 authors a week on. I can't do much more than that because I can't read any faster than I'm reading. But no, I love talking with authors. I love getting their perspective on things. And we never give away the ending of a story. So, if you want to learn a little more about an author or learn a little more about a book, it's a great place to do it without getting, any spoilers.
Oh, that's great news. Well, congratulations to you and all the wonderful
Thanks.
people you've had a chance to interview during the course of your podcast. Thanks for being here, Teri M Brown. I'm going to talk to you here again momentarily, so don't go anywhere. Feel free to grab some free coffee and donuts and whatever else we got there in the non-existent virtual green room in the backstage area of this studio. My name is Ryan of And I Quote channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Follow us across all forms of social media simply at And I Quote channel. It's where you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're also on TikTok and Twitch. Apparently TikTok is still a thing. So check us out there. A lot of great things coming your way very soon. We're on the road again. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once we do, we will throw the greatest, biggest, most electrifying live stream celebration that you have ever seen in your life. And Teri M Brown is cordially invited to join us and talk our ears off about historical fiction and all the great things she's doing in her neck of the woods, because we love her so much. And we'll have special giveaways that you, the viewer or subscriber, is going to be eligible to win. Also, we have merch. That we have shirts, we have hoodies, we have stickers, we have coffee mugs, all kinds of great things. that you, your friends, or your loved ones are going to want to pick up. It's on sale right now in a Redbubble store. Links are down below in the description, or they're in our my link tree, my social media bio, which is located down below. Check out our good friend Adina Mignona. She's a sci-fi writer. She's got the Robot Galaxy series, which is for all ages. So it's for your little ones, it's for adults, everyone in between. Saving the galaxy one glitchy robot at a time. Beep beep boop boop. The Robot Galaxy series. Also, if you want more hard sci-fi meets AI intrigue, Lunar Logic is out now, so you can find it on adinam.com. It's on Amazon, wherever you buy your books. But buy directly from the author. Support those who support you. Yeah. Let's do that. That sounds like a lot of fun, right? Terry's giving me the nod. She's like, yep, you're right, Ryan. That's very correct. So that's all the great things we got out there. So thank you very much for being a part of this episode of And I Quote. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look.
In An Enemy Like Me, I used the backdrop of World War II to show the angst experienced by Jacob, his wife, and his 4-year-old son as he leaves for and fights in a war he did not create. I explore the concepts of xenophobia, intrafamily dynamics, and the recognition that war is not won and lost by nations, but by ordinary men and women and the families who support them. Buy your copy today on Amazon.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.